All right, today our lesson is going to be a Foss science story in our Water Foss booklet. And I'm going to ask you to turn to page 5. Okay, you can see down there at the bottom, page 5. Okay, we're going to be reading an article about a pond. All right, so follow along with me as I read. It's a warm summer day. A water flea swims along by moving its antenna, stopping every so often to feed on tiny algae. Then it's gone. It has been eaten by a small fish. The fish is hunted too. A heron peers into the water, waiting for a chance to snap the fish up with its long beak. The fish hides in some underwater weeds. This drama takes place in a small New York pond. The pond is shallow enough for sunlight to reach the bottom. The water hardly flows. The pond is home to many forms of life. The pond is fed by water seeping from the ground. It gets more water from rain and melting snow. Sunlight is important here because green plants and algae in the pond use sunlight to make food. Most of the organisms in the pond are tiny. Algae do not have roots or leaves, so they float in the water. Some algae look like dots, while others are long strings of connected cells. Some plants, such as duckweed, float on the pond surface too. Algae and plants are food for pond animals. Underwater weeds grow like trees in a forest. They shelter animals and put oxygen into the pond. On a summer day, small bubbles cover underwater plants. These dissolve into the water, providing oxygen for pond animals. Continuing on page 6. Rooted plants grow from shore to shore because the pond isn't deep. Tiny roots anchor water lilies in the mud. Water lilies don't need strong stems because they are supported by the water. Their floating leaves are called pads. Bigger plants like reeds and cattails grow at the edge of the pond. Dead plants are eaten by pond snails. This helps recycle the materials in the pond. All summer, water striders walk across the pond's surface. They eat mosquito larvae trapped on the top of the surface film. Fish and tadpoles in the water eat algae and grow fat. They avoid hungry dragonfly nymphs. These young insects are hunters. They move through the water like jets by filling their abdomens with water, then forcing it out in powerful streams. By the fall, many larvae have developed into adult insects. But dragonfly nymphs live in the water for several years, so many of them continue to prowl the pond. The tadpoles have become frogs by the time colder weather begins. Frogs and flying insects move away from the pond. Leaves from nearby trees blow onto the water. The days are shorter now, and nights are chilly. Life in the pond slows down. Some geese drop in late in the day, resting on a journey south. They spend the night eating the duckweed and other plants. In winter, the tree leaves sink to the bottom. They lie on the mud, providing shelter for diving beetles and snails. The duckweed sinks too. Under the mud, the cold weather slows the body functions of turtles as they hibernate. Later, ice forms on the pond, surrounding the water lilies. They look brown and ragged. The fish move deeper underwater. The fish eat snails, but fish don't need much food because they are less active in winter. The dragonfly nymphs, continuing on page 7, are less active too. Food plants under the ice get enough sun to make food and oxygen. However, if the oxygen in the water falls to a low level, fish may crowd close to holes in the ice. In spring, duckweed plants float back to the surface, and soon they carpet the pond with green. Plants in the pond grow new leaves. On shore, reeds scatter their seeds. New shoots spring up from their roots. Turtles emerge as days grow longer. Frogs return from damp grasses nearby. They lay eggs in the pond. Before long, tadpoles hatch. There are newborn snails and insects too. The whole cycle of life in the pond begins again. So let's take a look at some of these questions to explore. What are some of the plants and animals that live in the pond water? Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Okay, what are some of the animals that live both in and out of the pond water? Go ahead and pause the video. What are some of the changes that takes in the pond throughout the year? Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, and then lastly, we have this section here talking about ice floats. Drop an ice cube into a glass of water and the ice cube will float. That's because ice is less dense than water, and that's a good thing for water life. When a pond or a lake freezes, ice forms at the surface. It acts like a blanket. It keeps the deeper water from getting cold enough to freeze. That protects fish and other living things in the water. If ice sank, the sun's heat wouldn't reach it, and the ice wouldn't melt. Each year, more ice would form, and it would get deeper and deeper. Eventually, the pond or lake would be a solid body of ice. Then all life in the water would die. All right, so now, my friends, I'm going to ask for you to please turn in your water student booklets. Okay, we are going to turn to page 43 and 44 in our water booklet, and we're going to answer some of those questions on pages 43 and 44. Okay, this is what yours should look like. Okay, and you will notice some are fill in the blank and some are short responses. Okay, so you're going to respond to the pond is fed by water blank from the ground. So we're going to go back into the passage and you're going to try to find what that answer is. Question 2, why do the green plants and algae need sunlight? Okay, you're going to discuss that and then we'll write a response. Number 3, I do not have roots or leaves and float on top of the water. What am I? Can you think about that? Question 4, algae and plants are food for blank. Question 5, what provides oxygen in the pond for animals? Okay, we're going to flip it over to the back. Question number 6. What are some of the plants and animals that live in the pond water? And I think we actually, those are these questions right here that we just discussed. So you should be able to very easily answer those questions on the back because you just discussed them in some turn and talk opportunities. Okay, number 7, what are some of the animals that live both in and out of the pond water? And 8, what are some changes that take place in the pond throughout the year? And again, those were those 3 questions right there that you already discussed. All right, so when you're finished, if you could kindly take a picture of your work, if you are a remote learner, and if you are a hybrid learner and you're in the classroom, if you could turn your work in for your teacher to correct, that would be fantastic. All right, well, I look forward to seeing you all again during our next water lesson.